Wait, I can do that better. What if it's like...
What a day. What a day. It has been so much. So much. Uh went very, very wrong for so many reasons. And I'm going to talk a little bit about them. Now, everybody has pretty much heard, posited, figured out. First, I will start off by saying I was wrong. And I remember, and I know I said that after the last episode, I was like, I have a theory, and I hope I'm wrong. After this episode, I actually wish I was right. After this episode, I definitely wish that I was right, because I was trying could manage to think of. I truly was. I was like, oh my gosh, this would be like lore devastating, horrific, terrible. Nothing good would come of this. And I was wrong. And now I really wish I was right. My goodness. So, Miranda is not Celebrian. She dies. She gets chucked off the ramparts by Celebrimbor. Everybody buys it, even though obviously there was not enough force behind his actions to cause her to go over like that. Also, Elrond survived a way bigger fall. But now apparently we're back to canon of elves and heights not being a very good thing. We're gonna get more into a bunch of that. Oh, you did not miss much, but you can go back and you can watch the intro bit if you would like. In fact, you know what? Here, I will, just for you, good sir, because Legionus, you are a scholar among men. I will play it again for you. Here.
Wait, I can do that better. What if it's like...
And I think after this episode, like, I made that short so long ago, and and the fact that it's still relevant crushes my soul a little bit. Just a wee tish, little bit. But so first and foremost, Bezos said he wanted his Game of Thrones, and apparently that includes macking on your relatives. So there's that. And of course, what I mean by that is, if anybody remembers, the theory was Celebrian, who is Galadriel and Celeborn's daughter, she marries Elrond. Elrond is Galadriel's son-in-law. Okay? They kiss this episode. Welcome to Game of Thrones, guys. He got his Game of Thrones. Congratulations, you've done it. You've gotten your Game of Thrones. I hope you're happy, because God knows not a single other solitary soul is. However, you do still have people defending this. So before I show you the comment, I'm going to show you the clip, and I'm going to try to cut as much down as possible, because God knows Amazon will try and strike this. Will try to raise us to the ground. Oh, Jesus wept. All right, here we go. There's no sound. I have no idea. I don't know why there's no sound. Touching a face. Oh my God. No. Ew. Oh, make it stop. 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 Okay. Now, right there, you see he passes her a pin that she uses to unlock herself. That is what these people are gonna. That's what these people are clinging to. That's what they're clinging to. Hence. So the kiss. It served as a goodbye, but it was not romantic. It was a chaste kiss. And it primarily worked as a distraction so that Elrond would hand her the pin. It's not what some hate-mongering people will try to make it. Listen here, bub. If what you were trying to do was distract from you like, you're clearly... I've seen drunk people hand off their ID cards to the bartender more convincingly that they're still sober when they are clearly 3 sheets to the wind. And they're like, nah, see, I'm 21. I'm fine. I can handle my liquor. I've seen smoother handoffs from them than this trash right here. If this was supposed to be a distraction, it didn't work. It did not work. This whole episode does not work for several reasons. This is the most lore, like, just pissing on the lore at this point. Like, I don't even know why I bring it up. I don't know why I even bring it up. They don't care. They don't give 2 flying flabberdoodles about this show. I know that, guys, Thursday nights we usually do Nostalgic Nirvana, and I am sorry that we can't, like, man, Tuesday night was the Geeks and Nerds for Harris catastrophe. I think, wasn't it? Or was that Monday? I don't even remember. See, the days are blurring together. I don't think I live streamed yesterday, but it is entirely possible, and I forgot. However, this is an absolute lore. She is married to Celeborn, and at this point, because their timeline is so jacked up, I don't actually know where they are. But at this point, at the very least, Elrond is engaged to Celebrian. The one character in this entire show, the one character that they could have possibly pulled off as Celebrian was the Miranda character. Okay? That's the only, like, just like Adar is going to have to be Celeborn. Oh, and they allude to that too at the end of the episode when he takes Nenya from Elrond. So we'll get to that in a second too. But Adar, they 100% drop a line. There's also a ton of repurposing of dialogue and lines that they are so desperately trying to place this as the precursor, the predecessor, the stepping stone, if you will, for Peter Jackson's Lord of the Ring trilogy. Even though it doesn't make any sense, it doesn't line up with the lore, the timelines are completely jacked, and they have absolutely no respect for the legendarium whatsoever. That's where we're at. That's where we're sitting. These are the people in charge. They have Game of Thrones, Lord of the Rings, yet again. Yet again. I actually hate this so much. And down here, like, sane people is just like, ugh. So here we go. All mouth kissing in movies and TV is romantic. Well, this is what they're doing. So remember when, so it was, let's see. Look, if people can just call kisses romantic because they feel like it, then I'm going to call this one romantic. This is what they're doing. They're trying to destroy lore to justify their horrific takes. So now this is, oh, get over it. It's just fantasy. It served as it was supposed to be a distraction. You need to let it go. It's not that big of a deal. But when it came to orcs having families, they wanted to be like, well, in the lore, it says that they multiplied. And I'm over here and I'm like, yeah, they meant like they were bred. Not that they had loving orc families. It was very much they were bred, the strongest survived, the weakest were on the menu. It is genuinely that simple. And it was a chaste kiss. Guys, ready? Here we go. Do. He's like rubbing up on her face. Gross. He comes in. All right, we'll say the kiss starts like right there when he starts to lean in, right? We won't even do when he starts touching her face, which lasts a whole... Here, let's look. Oh my God. So he's raising his hand up. Here we go. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 seconds he had his hand on her face. 8 seconds, and he looks like he is crying. So, we'll disregard the 8 seconds that his hand was on her face. Let's just see how long the kiss itself lasts from when he swoops in, okay? Because that's when the kiss starts. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. They're nuzzling. 10-second kiss followed by nuzzles. What the heck? How long did the nuzzling last? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10 seconds of nuzzling. Yeah, I'm going to round up by a second. And then they stare at each other in the face. Eyes closed. Nuzzles follow. He touched her face for 8 seconds beforehand. So we have 8 seconds of cradling her face in his hands. A 10-second kiss followed by 10 seconds of snuggles. And now they're staring at each other in the eyes. What? That is his mother-in-law. That's disgusting. For so many reasons. So Celeborn is supposed to be dead. Apparently Celebrian doesn't exist. And if she does, he just cheated on his fiancée with his future mother-in-law. Celeborn is supposed to be alive. And he is the one who creates the alliance with Elrond. And they defend Eregion until they can do a tactical retreat and save a whole bunch of elven lives in the process. Can't have that, though. And now, so Galadriel couldn't control herself couldn't control herself around Sauron. Couldn't handle herself with the freaking, with Nenya, right? Couldn't handle it with Nenya. Was like, give me my ring. Give me my ring. Okay, so all this other trash is going on. Got that going on. Celebrimbor hands her all 9 rings that were for the men. Now, to give you guys an idea of the timeline, it's all screwed up. And so we've got, gosh, what do we have? So the dwarven, so I'm trying, it's like, God, what, I don't even know what year this is supposed to take place in. I have no idea. I don't even understand. But Celebrimbor hands Galadriel the 9 rings of men so she can run away from Eregion with them. And he goes back up to the tower where Sauron, makes the blades of the elves turn on each other and they slaughter each other. And then he's gonna torture Celebrimbor. Until he gets the 9 back. Adar now has Nenya because he was like, have you forgotten your rule? And he, of course, says this in black speech. And he's like, never make war in anger. And then he literally has Elrond by the throat, throws him to the ground because he's now holding Nenya, like lets his enemy go so that his enemy can later come back and take the ring from him. It's almost like he knows that that's his future son-in-law. And he stands and watches them kiss. That's the other really disgusting part. He watches this whole thing go down. Like, he just stands there and sort of like watches. They leaned very heavily at the end of this episode that he is Celeborn because he quoted Elrond as if he knew him from before he was tortured by Sauron. So I have no idea what year we are in. I don't even know. Like, part of me thinks they think they're still in the First Age because of the way stuff is unfolding. Oh, and then they want you to feel bad for blonde boy Sauron, Barbie Sauron, because they want you to feel bad because he was like, do you know what it's like to be tortured at the hands of a god? And it's like, bruh, that's not your storyline. But outside of that, why? So, and then Celebrimbor's like, and yet you would do the same to me. And I'm like, yeah, see, that's it. Like, that's the thing. He does not care. He is literally just pulling crap out of his ass. This is the writers using AI to be like, how can we get people to, empathize, to sympathize for freaking Sauron? It's disgusting. It is disgusting. And now I'm pretty sure the freaking whatchamajingle the shipper name. Hang on, let me look. Oh, yeah, these people. Haladriel, because we're shippers and it's our entire life and we have no care of the lore. This crap. I will be seated for the showdown of the ages. Why does she always have, like, it's like in the first season, she didn't emote because she didn't know how. And so now she's watched like a 10-second YouTube video on how to emote and is attempting to emote, but doesn't know what emotions to actually portray. Like, just like the screaming last week, her face, freaking unbelievable. See, look, they're making, oh God. Help me. I think I helped you quite enough. It's nasty. What's the... Just between us. No. I hate shippers. I hate them so much. I can't believe they're even attempting to make this bridge. Ethereal, gorgeous, controlled, composed, otherworldly, scruffy. This is the best word I can come up with.
See what happens when you stop galloping. And you give yourself a moment to think.
Cease comparing me to a horse.
They're doing the whole enemies to lover. It's not poison. Bruh. We're so back. What is this? I literally just started typing in Halbrand up here, and Haladriel came up before Halbrand. Isn't that sad? That a shipper tag came up before a character? Just wow. See? Look at this trash. My king. These people are sick. I don't want to go down this rabbit hole anymore. It's scary. Let's come back. There's enough wrong with this episode without going back down that dark pathway. What? Oh, I lied. This is guys. This is from the actual Prime Video account. This is their account. The Storm Begins. The Rings of Power episode 7 is streaming now. This is the picture that they used. They are 100% leaning into, look, Azura. They are 100% leaning into these two fighting over Galadriel. The shit, like, it's a shipper show. It's a shipper shit show. It's a ship show. I hate everything about this so much. I need to cleanse my palate, please, for the love of God. 1 second.
Bum 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 bum. Wait, I can do that better. What if it's like...
They break everything. It is annoying. I don't even know what to say at this point. Because you have Adar, who's apparently the father of orcs, even though Sauron literally tortured elves to the point that they were corrupted into orcs and then bred them so that he could create legions of servants. Adar is obviously I mean, he has to be, or else like none of this makes sense. They leaned into that at the end of the episode as well. He's now holding Nenya, so maybe when he puts it on, it's gonna like heal him or whatever. You have in this episode, you also have the orcs being like, "Don't you? I thought you loved us," and he's like, "I do so much." He's like, "With everything that I have, too much, and I love you so much, I can't let you be slaves to Sauron. So you're better off dead. You're better off dead than if I just let you live in peace, because obviously you won't be able to resist Sauron." And I'm just like, what the actual frick? The one character who could have been Celebrian, and I said at the beginning of this, I'll say it again, I was very wrong. I gave them too much credit. I actually thought that they were going to make her Celebrian, but she was in hiding and like had been abandoned there by Galadriel. But I was giving them far too much credit that they were actually going to try and go back to the tie back to the lore. Also, if this wasn't soap opera enough for you, if there wasn't enough soap opera and shipping going on for you, the writers for The Crown just got hired on as writers for season 3. There is no script for season 3. And apparently, I don't know, not Legolas, I can't remember that, the elf character name. Not Legolas is, he just got gutted by Adar. So dead, but he's like, yeah, we haven't seen a script for season 3, and I'm like, bro, you got gutted. So unless Adar suddenly feels like being extra twisted and comes over with Nenya to heal you, I don't see this working out for you. Also, counterpoint, not counterpoint, but to continue that point, Elrond had Nenya. He watched his horse's throat get slit. All he had to do was put on Nenya and he could have saved his horse. But he refused. Like, he either forgot he had it or he just didn't do it. Even though he has literally watched Nenya heal spontaneously. So, I'm working backwards, by the way, if you guys haven't figured out. We're going to be all over the place for this episode because it's just fucking atrocious. All right, they definitely try to rip off. So, it's not funny, ha, but it is, they are desperately trying to undermine one second there, let me see if I can find it. No. Okay. "'Tis dawn, look to the north." All right, so Helm's Deep, right? They are trying so hard to. All right, very briefly, guys, because God knows this is not going to go well for me. Okay, so there's the rider who has arrows in him. The dwarves are not coming. They are trying to rip off. So that clip was specifically to subvert the Helm's Deep scene, and no one will convince me otherwise. And then you have this scene, which is obviously going to take me so much longer to find because reasons. Na. Oh, you remember how they made a volcano? Here we go. Oh, by the way, a mouse is what sets him free. Celebrimbor. It's a mouse that ultimately frees him. Okay, so we are very much ripping off better works, better adaptations. Oh, what is this? First of all, that's fabric. That is fabric. That is like rubber and fabric. I mean, props to this jockey, because you can tell, like, you can tell by the like, he clearly like knows how to hold on to a horse better than Morpeth Clark. But this is not battle attire. This is like parade or festival. Like, there is nothing protecting this horse at all. Okay, so they're like, oh look, and now the elves have come. There's Gilgalad. There's Gilgalad again. Nothing is actually protecting his horse, and then the king is gonna ride into battle, and so they're charging. This is supposed to be their epic. I'm not. This isn't even I don't even know what this is supposed to be, but I'm guessing this is when the horses. Do you guys remember the horses died on set? I think they are attempting to do an echelon, but I cannot tell because it's so horrific. They are not. These are not proper ranks. This isn't a proper formation. I don't even know what to say. Well, I am gonna rip this apart. Just an FYI. So yay, we're running. We're charging. Okay, we're gonna come towards the orcs. This is not supposed to remind you of the battle at Helm's Deep at all. No, there's no way that's a wedge formation, Jeremiah. There's no way. There isn't. There is not a possible. It's not defined enough to be. There's no way that's a wedge. That's not a wedge. It can't be. Look at that. That's not a wedge. They were trying to do. I think they were trying to do. Death to the foes. See what I mean? Like, there's no formation tactic. It certainly isn't a wedge. That's not. They couldn't have been going for that because that's not. They're cavalry. Like, that isn't how you do. That's not how you do a cavalry wedge formation. That's. Sorry, cavalry. I'm thinking about Jesus. Like. There's just no way. It's too loud. See what I mean? Like, there's no way this is a wedge. If this is a wedge, if they are attempting to do a wedge formation, so this is the way that cavalry is supposed to work. So essentially, and we're going to get to that too. If a cavalryman falls from his horse, he's basically dead. Like, you always had hold on. I need to. It basically, if a horseman was unseated from his saddle, he was a dead man. Like, they could fight on the ground, but they were meant to be on their horses, and you always have the advantage when you're on your horse. So when there is absolutely no way in hell that is a wedge formation, because if it was, where is there? Okay, so this is what a wedge formation is supposed to look like. Okay? It's been like this since Roman times. It's very effective. This is what it's supposed to look like. You can see clear rank and file. All right? You can see spacing. They have their javelins, like, and you always have in that, okay? There is no way on God, like, outside of this little triangle that doesn't even make sense, outside of this, there is no formation. Like, there's no rank and file. They were going for spectacle, but like, this is it. This is where it ends right here. The other thing about a wedge is if you stack correctly, it gives the illusion of essentially infinite waves. So if this is supposed to be a wedge, hold on. I think this is supposed. I'm gonna show you guys what an echelon looks like. Okay, this is not something that you can do with cavalry, but that's what it looks like they attempted to do. Okay. Here is oh, that's aircraft echelon. This is ground troops, but it'll work. Let me see if there's a better one. That's tanks, but it's the same concept because tanks replaced horses for that case. But let's see. All right, we're gonna just do this. This is way closer to what they have. Like, this is way way closer. Do-do-do-doom. 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 It's like, it doesn't work. You will trample each other. This is why they don't use it for cavalry. But do you see how it's like more? It's more closely aligned to actually what they have here. But even if they were trying to go for an echelon, it's at best chaotic. At best, that is chaotic. Cluster B formation. Yeah. It's so, because like, here is the thing. This is why it's even more ridiculous. They're at full charge. Full charge, guys. They're at full charge. Okay. All the epic music that I'm going to have to mute so I don't get hit, because I'm already going to get hit. This isn't supposed to remind you of anything from a more superior series at all. Okay, so they're, oh yeah, we're gonna growl, we're gonna grumble, like, well, come get us, you, like, right, the peace-loving orcs, guys, who just want to stay on with their families. That is not a wedge. That is Elrond left before the rest of the formation, and they're trying to catch up. Look at this spacing, guys. No wonder horses died on set. If this is practical, because they made a big deal from behind the scenes about how they, like, how this was practical and stuff like that. If these are real horses, it is no wonder that they had horse deaths on set. Look at this. There's no way. You're not trying. You can't break a wall like this. You cannot break. Like, they don't even have. They don't even have shields or pikes. There's no. It's not a shield wall. It's not a pike wall. It's literally just them growling and licking blades. And this is still not going to break this very, like, yes, the initial trampling might do something, but the whole point of doing an assault like this is to break the enemy lines. You're not going to do that with like 12 horses at the tip and then waiting for everybody else to show up. That's not how it works at all. But watch this. We're in full battle sprint, right? We're sprinting some more. Oh my gosh, our lines are even worse than I thought. Now they suddenly all have spears, even though they were nowhere to be seen prior to. And now they're overtaking. See? What is happening? All they're going to do is stab their buddy in the back. Why do these ranks have spears? Why? Why do these guys back here have their, like, basic tactics? See, they're literally just sitting there like, blah, 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 blah. That's it. Okay? Now watch. So they're growling. Guys, these are the peace-loving orcs, remember? Remember? Okay. Now they're going to wheel something forward. I'm sure this looks familiar. It was supposed to be like all secretive, like, oh, what's in the cage? What's in the box? What's in the box? On the ramparts last week, could not see orc campfires. Sees it. Oh, no, not my lady. Not my lady Galadriel. Not my mother-in-law, who I'm about to make out with in like 5 minutes. So Elrond, in his infinite battle-hardened wisdom, at full charge, pulls back on his reins. There was not enough space, guys. There isn't enough space. And now suddenly we have rank and file. Just right here, though. This is still a cluster back here. That's not how that works. You can't stop a full-on charge like that. It isn't possible. There is way too much force. Physics, basic physics. You cannot stop an entire cavalry at full charge that fast. And so now you have the elves over here in the sunlight. You have the orcs over here in the dark. At no point did an orc loose an arrow, or did they, because they were so sure this was going to work and that these elves were going to stop. Even though, was it 2 episodes ago? I don't even remember anymore. This show sucks so much. She's like, remember, Region is what matters, even more than myself. I'm just like, we were in a weird echelon wedge cluster fudge like 5 seconds ago, and now we are literally in rank and file. That's not how any of that works. That isn't how any of this works. They were trying to go for like epic shots and stuff that they thought would put them in the history books, and instead, it's absolute battle tactic lacking catastrophe. I don't even know what to say to this. I am beyond livid. Adar's just gonna chill here. Adar's just gonna chill here in the sun. He's definitely Celeborn. He's just gonna stand there and stare down an entire cavalry. Oh, Jesus, take the wheel. And then, guys, they go back to a tent for a chat. They're gonna sit down at the table and chat. At least they're not talking. Like, I was like, well, at least we're not talking about feelings. And he's like, give me Nenya and you can have Galadriel. And Elrond's like, no. And he's like, they're sitting at a table. Like, they went into the commander went into the end. Like, this isn't a neutral tent. He went into Adar's tent. What is stopping them from slitting their throats and taking the ring? Absolutely nothing. The plot demands that it happens, though, because you need to have this sit-down tension thing. This is going to be Celeborn, and it's going to, like, hit later on or whatever, or he's going to, like, this is, oh, gosh. The fact that, like, this is, his helmet's way over here. It is of no use to him over there. This man should have his helmet on if he is supposed to be the guard. Like, the fact that they are unarmed. Oh, yeah, they're unarmed, by the way. When he's allowed to go over and make out with his future mother-in-law because he willfully surrendered his weapons and walked into the heart of an orc encampment and then sat down across from the leader of the orcs, who are currently besieging Eregion. I don't know who the I don't know. That's all I can say. I don't know. There is absolutely nothing stopping from them from being throat slit, ring taken, and the siege on Eregion to continue. Absolutely zero. This isn't how it works. If leaders ever met like this, which was rare enough as it is, it was always at like in the middle of the battlefield in a neutral tent, and you had warriors from both sides staked outside of the tent so that if anything went wrong inside, the warriors would start the skirmish and all-out war would be unleashed. This man, Elrond, waltzes into orc encampment, sits down across from the leader of the enemy, and has a chat. With him. And then somehow when he was surrendering weapons or they were patting him down or whatever, they didn't think to check for a magical pin key that Lady Galadriel was going to be able to use to unlock and then slaughter her guards. By the way, hold on, where's that at? No. Oh yeah, this is where he realizes the candle hasn't burned at all and the mouse is on a loop. So now we're fighting. Bert, kill them all. Durin. So he's watching him walk out after. Oh yeah, Adar watched this whole scene. Adar watched the. Skip. Oh my god, it literally goes on forever. Okay, walks away. She's all like, "Oh, that was quite a kiss. I feel feminine." He walks out. Adar was watching that whole time. These guys let him go near Galadriel because he was like, give me Nenya and she can live. And Elrond's like, ask me that on the battlefield. And he was, and it will be in exchange for the one whose knife or whose throat has a knife to it. And he's like, I will ask you again, and it'll be her head on a pike. And he's like, okay, well then let me say goodbye. And they let him. Like, this doesn't make any sense at all whatsoever. Tactically, let alone, I don't even know what year it is because it, like, everything hurts. Everything hurts. There is no, like, everything is too compressed. It's too compressed because the Elvish rings are already made, but they're not supposed to. The whole reason that Sauron attacks Eregion is because Celebrimbor made the Elvish rings in secret, and then once Sauron realized that he'd been tricked or betrayed or whatever you want to call it, he attacks Eregion. So he first came, and this is over, and by the way, this takes thousands of years, guys. Literal thousands of years, because he shows up to Eregion as Anatar in Second Age 1200? 1200. Yeah, Second Age 1200. And then in like almost Second Age 1700, almost Second Age so it's still Second Age, but it's like almost it's almost 500 years. Like, it's only a few years. It's only a few years shy of like 500 years that he was able, that the fall of Eregion happened. They forged the rings in 1500. So it was 300 years before they started forging the rings of power. And then it was another 300 years. So almost 400. So it took them 100 years to forge the rings. It was 300 years until they started forging them, almost 400 years until they finished forging them, and then it was almost 700 years before Eregion fell. This all felt like it happened in like 2 weeks. There's no sense of time. There's no scale of world building. You can't tell where anything is or how long it takes to get anywhere, because apparently Khazad-dûm is only a half a day ride away from here. I am so confused. I don't know what year it is, but if this is supposed to follow the fall of Eregion, if this is supposed to follow the fall of Eregion, then we're at almost 1700, Second Age 1700, which means he's already engaged to Kelbrian. No, they should be married. Arwen is alive at this point. Arwen is alive at this point. Isn't she? My brain, my brain really hurts. No, Arwen comes into existence shortly after this. My brain really hurts. I gotta look. I have to look. This show has. See, this is when you know it's bad. This is when you know it's really, really bad because, like, this show has jacked the lore up so much that I actually now can't keep it straight anymore. I am so confused. I don't even know anymore. Was Arwen born in the Third Age? Because Kelbrian is alive. Yeah, okay. Kelbrian is alive. Arwen is not born yet, but Kelbrian and Elrond, if this is supposed to be the actual, like, line up with the fall of Eregion, then Elrond and Kelbrian are engaged, about to be married. That's her daughter. Celeborn is supposed to be forming an alliance with Elrond so that they can tactically retreat, and then Celebrimbor dies defending the city. So I don't know where we're at in the timeline because the 3 were forged before the 7 and the 9. I'm so confused. Like, the more I think about this, I am actually the further lost I get. Guys, I don't know where we are. I don't know I don't know what year this is supposed to be. I will be the first. I was wrong about my theory thinking that Miranda was Kelbrian because obviously she got her head chopped off. Oh, yeah. Do you guys want to see that? Na. Oh, look. There's Durin. It's good to see you, old friend. And then this scene is ridiculous. They're looking at each other. Durin, so he's like, whatever you've been through, it cannot match me. And he's like, I'm about to overthrow my father. And he's just like, and then Durin's like, what have you got? Like, they're literally comparing failures at this point. Or like, this isn't swapping war stories. This is trying to one-up each other in misery. And I promise I've got you both beat because I've had to watch this. And now I'm attempting to line it up with the lore, which is literally freaking impossible. Like, my brain is actually about to explode. Because Elrond is easily supposed to be with Kelbrian at this point. It's just insane. But these two are sitting here like, it's good to see you, old friend. Like, they're wasting time. And Elrond is like, or Durin's like, what have you got? And then Elrond's like, failure without your help. And so then Durin gives that rousing speech that you guys have seen in the trailers. Will you fight for our friends? And then it's like, we ride for Eregion. Like, we will fight. And they're like, Khazad-dûm, Khazad-dûm. Well, then, of course, King Durin has lost his mind and attacked and killed his own men. Princess Disa is apparently holding him off. Is now missing. We don't know where Disa is. We don't know what's happened to her. It's just an absolute ship show. They're covered in they're covered in blue blood for some reason. I haven't even deigned to unravel that little bit. But okay, so Celebrimbor, jeez. Celebrimbor is like, see, it's a loop. And then Barbie Sauron is like, this is quite an epiphany. Congratulations. And then Celebrimbor is like, the candle hasn't burned. And he's like, you wanted peace. I gave it to you. And he's all like, emissary from the Valar, will not do this. And then he's like, I have many names. And that's when Celebrimbor, like, he chucks Feanor's hammer out the window. It shatters the window. He can hear the siege happening finally. And now he sees the actual real state of everything. And he realizes that the Mithril was also a whatchamajingle, gosh, what is that called? An illusion. My brain stopped. My brain has had to stutter start so much with this freaking show. But so he realizes that it is an illusion, it's not real, and it's actually Sauron's blood, and it's black. Black like your heart. And he's like, what is this? And then Sauron, for some reason, deigns to show him his hand, right? Oh my gosh. Just pick your hand up. There we go. Shows him his hand. Black blood. And that's important because later when he shows it to everybody else, it's red so that he can convince them that Celebrimbor is the one losing his mind and that he's not actually Sauron. It's all bad. And then Celebrimbor, like, loses it some more. He runs out. He sees everything. He got blown up. All this stuff. Now he runs to Miranda for some reason and is like, he is Sauron. He is the deceiver. There she is. She dead. And he's like, his blood is black. And he's held it up and it's red now. And she's like, my lord, you are so confused. Oh, Project Storytime. Thank you for stopping by. Much love. You have a great night. Gave this episode 1 thumbs up. I'll see myself out. Oh. Have a good night. Story time. Project Story Time. You guys should go sub. Great channel. So, she's all like, my lord, let's get you back where you belong. Okay? And he's like, no, don't touch me. Do not touch me. Watch this. And you're telling me nobody is even slightly suspicious? Wah, he pulls it. He was able to yeet her over the ramparts. Really? And blunk. She did. She survived the fall, though. She survived the fall. Hey, guys, guess what? So she's gonna look up. She's not Celebrian. She dead. Blunk. She dead. I'm in so much pain right now. It's not even funny. They're defying the king, who splits his head open, and somehow he survives. I don't know. Okay, here we go. They are allowed to ride out of an orc encampment. They are allowed to ride out. And he leaves him standing on the ground surrounded by orcs. Watch this. He gets up on his horse. They're still talking. He puts his helmet on. He leaves him in an orc encampment. And their horses are fine. Their horses aren't dead. Like, what the frick? Yes, but Arwen was born in the Third Age. I know I am not crazy. Arwen was born in the Third Age. I know she was born in the Third Age. But that's neither here nor there. Celebrian and Elrond should already be a thing. And Celeborn and Galadriel are married, deeply in love, and Celeborn is supposed to be fighting with Elrond to tactfully retreat from Eregion, and they go to the Dell, which is where his son-in-law, literally that is the founding of Rivendell. Like, it doesn't make any sense. None of this makes any sense. It doesn't follow any kind of... They thought they could do Tolkien better than Tolkien, and they've jacked up the timeline, and now nothing actually makes sense, and I can't even figure out where we are. Here's his rousing speech where he's like, Khazad-dûm! They've all agreed to go fight. They've all agreed to turn on King Durin. Here. And he's like, let's show them that dwarven loyalty is deeper than the bones of the earth. And then we have son-in-law and mother-in-law making out while orcs watch. And then we have not Legolas saving... So Galadriel gets herself out of... Okay, so this is ridiculous. Okay, so Galadriel gets the little pin, right? She's walking around with her little cloak. So she gets the pin from Elrond, breaks free, and slaughters her orc guards without anybody noticing. And then she puts on a little cloak. She helps carry a dead orc, and then she sees them burning the orc bodies, and she feels bad for them. And then Adar cries! That's a tear right there. Can you guys see that? He's crying. Adar is crying over his dead children. Adar is crying, and then it cuts to her, and she's like, oh my gosh, he has a heart. This is so sad. Like, what? Then she sneaks off, right? And, oh, there's not Legolas. 3 orcs confront her. They know it's her. They're like, look at that pretty hair. Because, like, a wisp of it fell in front of her face. And then, blunk. She's like, what was that? And then it's not Legolas. It's not Legolas. And then she's like, come with me, because if you fight him now, because he's like, my battle is with him, Adar, because he's taken everything from me. He's taken everything else. So now he's given in to despair. An elf has given in to despair and is now seeking revenge. This is not good. This is not good writing. They don't understand this legendarium at all. Celebrimbor is now enslaved in the tower. He's now enslaved in the tower. And Sauron is like, it was about whose will is stronger. Okay? And so he burns the rings. That's that scene. So right here, he grabs them, takes them to the fire, and this is the scene you see in the trailer where he drops them in. Okay? And then he puts them in a bag. And then he cuts off the master smith can't get out of cuffs, but Galadriel with a tiny little pin can. So he cuts off his own thumb to get the cuffs off, and the whole time it's like, whose will? He says he uses this device to cut his thumb off. And he's like, whose will is stronger? And then he slices his thumb off. Now he's crawled out of his little hole. Okay, he went down the sewers. See? It's not an aqueduct, a sewer. Falls down. He gets hit. Okay? falls down. So, right, he gets boom, hit, smacks his head on this, falls. Then he gets surrounded by other elves who are like, we're going to take you up back to the tower where you're not going to be able to hurt yourself or anyone else. But then guess who comes to the rescue? She's here. She used the secret dwarven tunnels, guys. She used the secret dwarven tunnels. Then she scolds him and she's like, hey, everything he said is true. You guys are wrong. This is the Lord of Eregion, the master smith, the greatest of smiths. And he's like, I thought you were an illusion too. Okay. Shows her his hand. And then she's actually honest with him. Hold on, let me see if this is it. What?
Meant me with false hope.
Sauron.
9 rings.
Rings, okay? And then he's like, to enslave the world of men. I don't understand what's happening. Like, I don't know what's going on.
Enslaved me.
I don't know what's going on.
Wanted what he offered. So
It's him.
it is him.
It will bear you and the rings.
She's like, take the tunnels I just took and run. And he's like, no, it must be you. The lady who is... This is entirely her fault. She didn't tell anybody that Halbrand was Sauron. She didn't tell anybody that Sauron was back, that they were being deceived. Didn't mention anything. Kept it all to herself. Basically, like, cheated on her husband with Sauron. Called Sauron my king. All this stuff. And
Go.
I
No.
cannot. It must be you.
it must be you because you are the key to everything.
Realize what has happened. You will come for the rings.
I will ensure it is sometime.
He's like, I'll make sure that it takes a while. And then Sauron slaughters all the guards that go with him.
I won't let you face him alone.
He's
My
not
place
alone.
is here.
My
And he
place
will
is
not be
here.
alone.
And he won't be alone. Ugh. I hate everything. I can't find it exactly, but he's like, it's my fault. And she's like, no, it's not. And I'm like, oh, that's the first honest thing you've said. Then we get stuff that is absolutely not supposed to remind you at all of Battle at Helm's Deep. Or, oh, look, she has an orc arrow in her. Let me see if you guys can pick up who they were trying to, this remind you of anybody? Boromir. Does this remind you of anybody? Okay, so her arrow was true. It found the cannon. Look at this explosion. Look at this They watched the arrow land in there, by the way. So there's her flaming arrow. No. Die. Right? They all watch it. They all watch it. Like, literally, they're all watching it. Lands in there. You guys ready for this? Boom! Look at that explosion! And I'm supposed to believe, also, this isn't supposed to remind you of Return of the King, when they lay siege to Gondor and are busting down the doors, the gates, the ramparts. Yeah, that's not supposed to remind you of... Boromir did it, so can she. Girls, get it done! Look at this explosion, and you're telling me that this thing is still standing? That's not how it works. This thing would be in pieces. In literal pieces. But they gave the girl boss her moment where it went boom. She's the whole reason that they were able to defend the wall as long as as long as they were able to, until the troll comes out. Oh yeah, that's where look, this is where he slaughters all the guards. And now it has grabbed the machine and is manually ramming it into the wall. And then Gil-galad shows up out of nowhere and starts killing stuff. Okay? And Elrond's like, you should not be here, my High King. Oh, look, it's not Legolas. He's flying up because he's got to protect Commander. He's got to protect the Commander, right? He yells at somebody, Commander! And then he Hobbit jumps. Do you guys remember Legolas and the Hobbit? Those atrocious scenes. Okay, so Gil-galad has hooked Troll's leg, and he has like grabbed an elf and a horse and smashed them into the mud, and he's like screaming. Elrond has managed to booby trap the machine, and it took out the troll in the chest right here. That's why he's bleeding so heavily. And now, not Legolas is gonna do his slice and dice move. Okay, I mean, it took him like 2 minutes, and it only took Galadriel 10 seconds to wipe out an ice troll. So, you know, whatever. Troll laughs and then dies. And then Elrond is like, my High King, you should not be here. And then they're like, reform the lines. And then that's the scene with the dawn. And then Elrond, at this point, who is supposed to be battle-hardened, literally goes into shock. Oh, ruined it for you guys, sorry. He goes into shock, and he is watching the orcs come up. Everybody else forms ranks. Gil-galad looks down and, like, is pitying Elrond, and he's like, form ranks, because Elrond's like, Durin will come. He's looking up at Gil-galad right now, and it's like, he'll come. He'll come. This man's got like 4 arrows in him. Durin's obviously not coming. He didn't tell him that there is, that there's a freaking Balrog being woken up. Just said that Durin recalled the army and the doors of Khazad-dûm, the gates of Khazad-dûm are shut. That's all he said. And he's like, Durin will come. And he doesn't. And so Gil-galad is like, form the ranks. And then they're like, charge. And then not Legolas runs out. Elrond just sits there staring at the north in shock that Durin didn't actually come. And he's like he's crying. And then he looks around and he's watching everybody get slaughtered. And then not Legolas is like, there's Adar, I must get to him. He matrixes around arrows and blades and stuff. Then gets to Adar. Like, look at this. Like, doing flip kicks. He's like, yeah, I haven't seen a script for season 3 yet. Because they haven't even written season 3. And he's dead. So unless Adar walks over and uses Nenya on him for some unknown reason, he dead. Right? So he's like trying to choke Adar out. Doesn't work. Adar throws him down. The orcs somehow are strong enough to pull the wall down. Now it's thin enough, apparently. So, yay. Okay, so there's that. No. Yep. The wall's now down. They're now flooding in. This isn't supposed to remind you of Hell's Deep at all either. Not at all. Now Elrond is watching his elves get slaughtered. He's watching them get slaughtered. The peace-loving orcs guys that don't want to go to war. Yeah. Elrond's just sitting there. Now he's looking up at Adar. Right? Tries to stab him. Of course fails. Adar just like twists it out of his hand. Literally has him in a chokehold. Chokehold. Still choking him to death. Still choking him to death. Giving him a lecture. This is where he says, you've forgotten your own rule. Never, oh gosh. Never seek war in anger or whatever, right? Like, haha, you screwed up. And then, this is horrible CGI, by the way. Look at how bad this is. Okay, chucks him down. Literally was choking the life out of an apparently, so this does happen in battle situations. It's called going, like, it's called code black or going level black. So you have different threat response level, like internal threat response levels. So green is like everything's fine, everything's great. Yellow means that you are like cautious of stuff, on kind of alert, and they have since changed. There's apparently an orange now too, but it went, so now I believe it goes green, yellow, orange, red, and then black. If you ever go black, it means that like you're literally frozen. You can't do, it's that fight or flight, like you can't move, right? But through enough experience and enough training, it doesn't happen to you after a time. Okay? The only way to get you out of black and back into red, right? Because red is where you are like hyper focused, you are alert to all threats, you are reacting in time, and you are attempting to discover, or you're attempting to not discover, but like essentially develop strategy at a rapid pace for either an escape, a retreat, or a last stand. Something of those natures. And a last, like digging in your heels, think like maybe you could actually hold them off or win until something like comes. When you go to it's condition black, it means you can't do any of that. You're literally like frozen. The one way that has been proven 100% effective to get you out of it is if somebody slaps you across the face. I'm not even kidding you. Like, that's literally how we were trained. They were like, okay, you're condition black. What do? And you get backhanded. Okay? Because it jars everything back into motion. All right? So getting choked to death is definitely going to pull you out of condition black. Okay? So now that he was being choked to death, he's still in condition black. Like, I don't know what, like, I guess Doran's betrayal is just too great. And I'm betting that the Balrog is going to be able to wreak havoc because the elves are not going to come to the aid of the dwarves because the dwarves didn't come to the aid of the elves. And it's going to be that some of that petty bullshit. But Adar literally threw him to the ground because the plot demanded it to happen, because the writing was like, oh yeah, he can't die because he's like he's like in the Peter Jackson movie, so he has to stay alive. It blows my mind. And now look at what Adar has. Up! And Elrond just like closes his eyes and falls down on the ground. Like, I'm tired, boss. And then, yep, Adar's just sitting there with nasty looking Nenya. That is such a crappily made prop. I don't know who thought this looked good. It's just wild to me. But yeah, he's like, F it. He just lays down to he literally lays down to die. Literally just lays down to die. So outside of the entire lack of battle tactics, outside of the entire lack of common sense about why only 2 elves would walk unarmed into the heart of an orc encampment and give even more information to their enemy and give their enemy the opportunity to slit their throats, but apparently out of the kindness of their hearts, they're not going to do that, because remember, the orcs just want peace to raise their orc families. Now Elrond's just gonna go to sleep. He's just gonna take a little nap. A little nappy. We're just gonna take a little nap. Things always look better in the morning. Things will always look better in the morning. Like, what? are you doing? He literally just lays down to die. At least not Legolas was gutted. Like, he had a reason to fall down. Like, he's literally just, oh, I'm gonna exhale. Oh, he's got it. Okay, well, there's nothing I can do. I'm just gonna lay down. I'm just gonna lay down. I'm just gonna take a nap, guys. I'm just gonna take a nap. I'm just gonna, oh, yeah, I'm tired. I'm so sleepy. Like, the betrayal was too much, guys. He couldn't handle it. And then if you watch the behind the scenes about this, I hope you are, I hope you guys understand this is this is about to be so bad. It's I'm about to bring this up, guys, and I apologize, kind of. But literally, and it's important. So here are your brave creators, guys. Let's go. Come on, you can do it. Listen to what they say.
Had done. And then in the end, when we saw the whole thing, because there is a lot of action can be very emotional.
Yeah. Action can be emotional, guys. In case you didn't know, action can be emotional. In case you were curious, action can be emotional.
And it's important to work with people, I think, that have the same feeling that
same feelings. All about feelings.
You have when you watch something and when you see something, when you direct something. And I think we're really on the same wavelengths with.
We're on the same wavelengths.
With Vic and Jason, and we really understand.
So listen to what Mr. Vic says.
Movies. I think we both looked at this. It's not a TV series. This is a movie.
They just admitted that they are treating this like a movie, not a TV series, which is why there is no consistency. This isn't written for TV. They basically wrote a movie and then broke it up into parts and made it like a movie for TV. So they've already admitted that they are like the creators, the showrunner, sorry, not the creators, the showrunners are admitting that they did not approach this as they didn't approach this as a series. They approached this as a movie because they think they're too good for TV, but because it had Lord of the Rings attached to it, they were willing to, like, the IP attached to it, they were willing to gamble, and they were like, this is actually our movie. We just put it on television, but it's prestige television, so it's different. Like, this is wild to me. Fixer, I have no idea how that becomes the Elrond that tells Isildur to cast the One Ring into the fire. I have no idea. This is there's no words for just the absolute massacre. Like, that's the only thing that can come to mind is massacre. I don't have another word. I really don't, because how can you look at this series and think for a moment that what you are doing is able to in any way honor the fandom that you are apparently trying to like they said, oh, the fans are gonna love this, like, if you're into the lore, you're gonna like. I don't I don't know. I wish that there was like a simpler way or a better way, or I hate it all, hate it all, hate it all. But Cordova, who is the actor that plays not Legolas. He had come out and said, I haven't seen a script for season 2 or for season 2. God, I wish season 3 yet. But according to now this is of course, take this with a grain of salt because these guys have been wrong more than they've been right. They are scoopers. But if it is true, then we're gonna have some even more issues because this is already soap opera-y enough. But apparently The Crown and 2 other writers have joined Rings of Power for the season 3 writing team. Okay? So that is apparently that is apparently happening. It's I don't know. I wish I had something better to tell you guys than that this is an absolute cluster. But I don't. They are attempting to undermine and subvert I hate that term, but subvert expectations. They are seeking they are literally trying to take out your morale. Heroes do not exist. Nobody is good. Nobody is bad. Everybody has a sob story. Therefore, Sauron is actually a victim because he was tortured by a god. Never mind that he tortured elves to the brink of their soul snapping and corrupted them into literal orcs that he then bred so that he could have legions of armies that he then used to take on. Because, so, if you guys didn't know, the reason baby Shelob is an issue is because she wouldn't be a baby. She was in Mordor first. She was in Mordor first, and Sauron was like, "Yeah, we're not gonna mess with that at all. Like we're just gonna let Shelob be." And Shelob ate, that's why it ate orcs. That's why that when if you watch the Peter Jackson series, because I don't know how many of you read the books or whatever, but that's why Gollum is like, all she has is nasty orcses. She eats anything that she is. I mean, she's evil. She's primordial evil, but she is not at the beck and call of Sauron or Morgoth. Neither were the Balrogs. So it makes even less sense that the Balrog would talk to Sauron last episode. So you have all of that going on. But literally, the only reason that Morgoth wasn't shredded to pieces was because he let out a scream and the Balrogs heard him and came and essentially rescued him. Okay? But so the Balrogs have never been under Sauron's thumb. Okay? Shelob is the last offspring of that primordial beast, the Ungoliant. Okay? Which, by the way, guys, if you haven't followed, let me find his account really quick. High King Feanor on Twitter, you should. He has got some of the most based, awesome lore Apologies. Still doing better than that live stream for the telethon earlier this week that has millions of dollars behind it, and they couldn't get their shit together. So, yeah. Let me see. No. Where are you at? I know you're in here. Let me find you. He just sums it up so succinctly, and I'm a woman, and right now my emotions are all over the freaking place. Okay. Here we go. So, this picture is by Ruben Devella. I'll show you the picture, and then I'll read what High King Feanor said on the side. But so that's Ungoliant. That's Morgoth. He was gonna die. Okay? So he goes on to say that rings of trash, they have an appearance by what they call baby Shelob during the same time as the rings are forged. Quick note before I explain why that's so wrong. First stage is separated in two parts as far as the timeline is recorded: year of the trees and years of the sun. Okay, so the time of trees is literally what was before, like that's the line of like before there was even a sun, like star, like sun in the sky, like there was light. That's what's coming from the time of trees. Okay, and then you have the years of the sun, the time of the sun. So it's after the trees have been, like, you have to go way back, and like they breezed over all of that. Okay, so trees no more. So now it's the sun, right? Shelob is the last horde spawn. I told you, Shelob is the last horde spawn of Ungoliant. Came into existence sometime between the year of trees 1495 and year of the trees 1500. Rough estimate. In Nandungothorpe, Valley of the Dreadful Death. She resided there until the sinking of Beleriand during the year of the year of the sun 590, after the War of Wrath, which Celeborn is supposed to be fighting in. But we're gonna move on. At which point she fled east. It must be noted that 590 year of the sun was the last year of the first age. The first 16 rings are forged in the second age. Okay, yeah, specifically between second age 1500 and 15. It takes them almost 100 years. 1597 is the last ring got forged. So Shelob canonically is 2095 years old when the rings are first completed. So that's Ungoliant. That is who Shelob spawned from. This is supposed to be Morgoth going up against her. And she has him pinned, is about to destroy him. He screams, and the Balrogs hear him, and they come up and they fight Ungoliant off of Morgoth. But it took like, God, I forget. I think it was like 9 Balrogs. Like, it's literally a squadron of Balrogs come up, and they have a tough time taking on Ungoliant. So obviously her offspring, like Sauron, did not mess with Shelob. Didn't touch her. Let her be. Was not gonna go anywhere near her. So yeah, this is wild that they have a baby Shelob, but also that the fact that they think that Sauron can control, or that the Balrogs would answer to him. So I have no idea who is in charge. Ruben Devella did the picture. I don't know who is in charge over there, but there was such a great opportunity for incredible storytelling, and they pissed it all away. All the way. So it's literally just been they're taking member berries, and they're shoving them in there because their lore is so inaccurate. They've devastated the lore to the point that there is no fixing it. I can't believe I actually thought that Miranda might be Celbrian. I really cannot, for the life of me, believe that they didn't go that. Like, I gave them so much credit. I gave them so much, way too much credit. I have a headache. I have a headache, guys. This is so bad for so many reasons. Like, outside of the disgusting Game of Thrones kiss. So Bezos got his Game of Thrones, guys, with family on family smooching and all. Like, it does, nothing makes any sense. There's no sense of time. There's nothing. You know what I mean? Like, there is no way for the stuff that has happened to have happened logically. They have forced it to degrees that are unimaginable. But even outside of the kiss, if you just break this down if you look at the cavalry charge, you cannot stop a cavalry charge like that. You can't. Once it's going, you're done. Anything in its path is going to get trampled. The dwarves are basically a footnote. King Doran has lost his mind, so Prince Doran is about to, take charge and usurp his father and whatnot. So they've abandoned the elves, which I'm sure they're going to say. So now it's a the misunderstanding of the dwarves couldn't come, but the elves could, but they chose not to, and that's what started the bitterness between the dwarves and elves and stuff like that, completely disregarding the actual prejudices that they had against each other that Tolkien wrote in, that were there, and that's why this is also why in The Hobbit I have a huge issue with Evangeline Lilly's character, whose name I can't remember because she's not canonical. I mean, Evangeline Lilly is really pretty, but I cannot for the life of me remember her character's name. Anyway, the elf-dwarf relationship, because it completely undermines Legolas and Gimli's friendship, which was so important and so powerful because it overcame generational hatred of race of between dwarves and elves. So it's kind of a big deal, just saying. So you have that, but now Galadriel has fallen for Sauron. Last week, she blabbed and gave, there wasn't even any torture. He sat her down at that table that you saw Elrond sitting at, gave her some food, and she spilled her guts. Told him everything. Was like, yep, here you go. This is all you need to know. So this same, let me see if I can find it again. So this same table, in the same spot, Galadriel was sitting right here. Galadriel sat here and told him that Elrond's coming. He has my ring and he has a legion of elves. Told him everything he needs to know. Spilled her guts. Wasn't tortured. Wasn't maimed. Wasn't starved. Nothing. Sat her down, fed her some food, and she spilled her guts because he was like, maybe we can do this together. And then you get the scene of, this is what Sauron wants. That's from last episode where she's screaming at him and her face gets just absolutely horrifyingly like a cat that got thrown into water. That's the best example I can give. That was insane. But again, he's here. These guys know that they're unarmed because that's why they let him go over to her. But she has spilled. So not only is Sauron being an Eregion her fault, not only is no one knowing that Halbrand was Sauron until much later her fault, the ability for Adar to counter the incoming elf, the whole reason that she got put in a cage and dragged out to the front lines is because she told Adar that Elrond was coming. Like, I don't understand what is going on right here. She's an idiot. So this whole battle is her fault. The fall of Eregion, the siege of Eregion, the fall of Eregion, Celebrimbor having to cut off his thumb, Celebrimbor being mind violated by Sauron is her fault. Miranda's death, her fault. Those elves whose blades got turned on each other by Sauron, her fault. Every single elf that has died in this battle, her fault. Like, everything happening right now is entirely her fault. And she is, for some reason, not been put in an elven prison. I don't even know at this point what, like rational thought must not have entered these people's minds, but somehow she becomes the savior of Celebrimbor because she crawls through the secret dwarven tunnels and gets into the city. Like, I'm so confused as to what is happening. This is supposed to be Elrond's big... So, basically what happens is Gil-galad sends Elrond to Eregion. This is the first time that Elrond is supposed to be leading anybody. And the fact that it was such a strategic success is huge because he and... So, Celeborn, her husband, and Elrond are supposed to create, like, they meet up, they link up, they're able to defend Eregion for quite some time and make a tactical retreat. Celebrimbor does lose his life. He dies defending the city. Okay? But then he leaves from here and is supposed to literally found Rivendell. They run to the dells to hide, and then he creates Rivendell. It's the founding of Rivendell is supposed to happen after this. And they're supposed to regroup and train. And Celeborn stays with him for a time to help. So Celeborn is separated from Galadriel for a while. And then and then he goes back to her. But this doesn't make, like, what is going on here doesn't make any sense. And if Adar does turn out to be Celeborn, there's no way that they can make this work. Like, none of this actually makes sense. I was so sure they were going to make Adar Celeborn, and at the end when he's choking Elrond, and he literally quotes Elrond's rule to him in Black Speech, I was like, yeah, they're leaning into the fact that he is going to actually be Celeborn. Like, this is Celeborn. Look at what Celeborn did. Like, Celeborn alleged, like, in the Rings of Power, Celeborn created the Orcs and then is going to essentially lose them to Sauron because he's got those who are like, you said that you loved us. And he was like, yes, I know, but it's better that you're dead than waiting for, Sauron to come attack you. I don't want you to become his slaves, so I'm going to, let you be used as cannon fodder. And so now you see this inner turmoil of orcs turning against Adar, and that Sauron is going to, deceive them as well and be able to take over the orcs, and he didn't actually create them. And oh my god, it's an absolute cluster. It's not good. None of this is good. Even if you disregard all of the Tolkien lore, because the showrunners definitely did, even if you disregard all of the Tolkien lore, even within its own world, this doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any sense at all. And it's inconsistent. It's choppy. There is no scale of anything. You can't get a sense of time. You can't get a sense of distance. You have no idea where anything or anyone is in relation to anyone else. You can go look at all of the maps that you want to, but like even Numenor is wildly way closer than it should be to some places and further away from others than it's supposed to be. The world is still flat at this point. The world has not been made round. For those of you that don't know, that happens with the fall of Numenor. So Numenor has not fallen yet in this show, so therefore the world is still flat. And the reason, so you have to know the way back to what is that? You have to know the path in order to get back to that's why they're like, it's the last ship or whatever. And when they send Frodo, right? Well, and of course Bilbo and everyone, and so but you have to know that path because it was lost after the fall of Numenor. Almost at a Region, good lord. After the fall of Numenor, and Sauron is supposed to be there corrupting them and turning that, like how we have the Kingsmen and the Faithful already, and Sauron's not even there tricking them to build a temple to Morgoth and do depraved things inside of the temple, and then Miriel is supposed to climb to the top of the mountain and like beseech the Valar, but the Valar are no longer listen to her, and they sink Numenor. Okay, and the Numenorians have since, like the Faithful, most of them have left at this time, and they have founded other great cities. But so Numenor is supposed to fall, and the world is supposed to. That's when the world becomes round, right? And so like that is all. So while all of that is happening with Numenor, he can't go to Numenor anymore because they already know him. You know what I mean? So there's no sense of scale, there's no sense of time, there's no sense of anything. This show within itself does not it doesn't make any sense at all. When you try to pull from Tolkien lore, it makes even less sense and it makes your brain hurt. And then you start questioning when stuff actually happened. You're like, wait, did that happen in the Third Age? Was that the Second Age? I'll tell you what, I will give credit where credit is due. This show has made me reference and re-reference things from Tolkien so much more, because watching this show, I can't keep anything straight. It's just an absolute jumbled mess. This must be what it felt like when like people get sucked into riptides and pulled out to the ocean. It's just bad. You're so disoriented, you don't know where anything is, and then you're like, maybe I'm wrong. Let me go check. Nope, I'm right. Okay, this definitely did happen. Like, Celeborn and Galadriel have been married since the First Age. That definitely happened. Celebrian and Elrond should be engaged at this point. That definitely happened. Like, it's it's a headache. It's so insane to me that they're going to sit there and try and say that they go back to the book and go back to the book, and then in the next breath they're going to be like, we're trying to, write the novel that Tolkien never wrote himself. Well, there's a reason. This is shit. You are not Tolkien. It's not good. This doesn't make any sense whatsoever. You can't even, why are either of them still breathing at this point? Like, it doesn't make, Elrond, do your thing. Just cut his throat. Kill him. My head hurts so much. Like, Really? They're gonna just stare at each other? This is what... Here is how I will put this. This is written by women who think this is how men actually act. Yeah, Fixture, that's what I said. Celeborn and Galadriel were married in the first age. And then Celebrian is definitely alive, and Elrond and her are definitely engaged. At least by this point. No. Hold on. No, it was after Numenor fell. I know the War of Wrath sunk the... I know the East Lands were sunk, but, like, no, the... Numenor fell, and the world... Because you could still see... the shores from Numenor. That's why Miriel climbed the mountain. She was trying to see the havens. Like, she was trying to see them. Because remember, the Numenorians, they literally sailed and landed on the shores to start war because of what because of the seeds that Sauron had planted. And then they weren't immediately wiped out. But then the Valar sunk Numenor because, like, Miriel could, like, it could not, none of her beseeching would work at that point because they had literally declared war on the Valar and they had sailed to the home of the Valar. And so, yeah, the world went round after Numenor, the fall of Numenor. But the so if not that it matters, but this then should be, if all of the rings are forged, then this should be almost 1600s, the second age. 1597 should be the year, which means Elrond and Celebrian have been together for like 200 years at this point. There's no Celebrian and there is no Celeborn. This was written by women who think that this is how men act. Men don't posture like this in real, especially in battle. Like, this isn't how, that's not how it works. That's not how any of it works. Like, they're not going to stare at each other. They're not going to get this close. Okay, these guys are mortal. Then he turns his back on Adar. Like, bro. What? Turns his back on Adar, leader of the armies with which they are, like, just did a full cavalry charge against, that he stopped at full charge, managed to stop, just, feet from trampling Galadriel. He turns his back on him. And then he literally walks up with all these orcs. And then they make out for, like, this is like a 30-second scene. It's bad. And they're all just staring. They're all just like, like, mouth breathing, staring. And she's like, oh my. What's that scene? Like, hold on. I'm actually really surprised they didn't do this. Like, with everything going on. Hold on. Oh man. Yep. Clickety clack, clack, clack. Let me see. Where's it at? Oh no. I'm not gonna. There it is. Okay. I will find it really fast. Okay. Here we go. Ready? It's this. It's this, but not as good. So, right, she comes up like, oh, let's kiss, let's make out. And they're like, all right, that's enough. Okay, she walks away, and then we do this. It's literally that scene. It's literally that scene. They ripped off the A-team. It's literally that scene. I don't know what's happening. So, I was talking with Disbrew, who I believe is unconscious at this point. You should check out his review. It's he encourages this entire thing because he's laughing through it, and I'm like stopping. I was like yelling at my screen. I was like, dude, don't encourage this. Okay? Do not encourage this. But nonetheless, you should check out Disbrew's review. It's great. But they literally ripped off the A-team scene. It's literally the A-team. These writers, this is an AI-led writing team who has not one creative bone in their body and needs to be stopped from the continued desecration of IPs because it's just wild what they're doing at this point. He's still touching her face. Oh my god, I just read. He is still touching her face. You can say that this is supposed to be a distraction, like whatever, like I said at the beginning, what I said at the beginning where these individuals on Twitter are like trying to cope and be like, the kiss was not romantic. It was a distraction so that they wouldn't notice him palming the key or the pin into her hand. And as I said, I have seen drunk people, 3 sheets to the wind, hand the bartender their ID and can try to say, man, I promise I'm just fine. Better than he palmed off that pin to her. But literally, it is the same scene from Amazon. A-Team. It is the same scene from A-Team. Amazon just purposed it, but rather than having the key go in her mouth, he just palmed it to her. But it's the same freaking scene. And way worse done. They're taking better writing, better screenplay, better acting, and better scenes, and simply blending them up in a shit smoothie, and then pouring it over their writing and being like, see, look, isn't this great? But that's literally where we're at. We're ripping off the A-team at this point. We're ripping off the A-team. But there's no way he's still touching her face. When did this kiss start? When did it start? 30:02:30. Okay, so when did we say it started? Okay, so at 30:28, his hands raising. Okay, 30 minutes and 29 seconds in, he's touching her face. They do the kissing. They're still touching. It's been 20 seconds. 20 seconds, 25 seconds. Okay, so 6, 27, 20, almost 30 seconds of touching. You can't tell me that that's not romantic. That's not how it works. 30 seconds of face touching, of kissing, and then they snoot. They're snuggling. This is the equivalent of snuggling. I hate this so much. And now we are allegedly getting writers from The Crown to help write season 3. This is going to turn into even more of a soap opera. I am just flabbergasted at how bad this is. And Adar just watched the whole thing. And he looks depressed about it. And see, here's the other thing. He drops hints that he is Celeborn because he says to Elrond, right, where does he stand up at? Right there. Okay, listen to this dialogue. Ready?
You have the beauty of your foremother, Melian of the Valar.
they keep trying to they keep trying to literally like dump lore in here to be like, see, we're lore accurate. Look at this.
You have the beauty of your foremother, Melian of the Valar.
Like, we're name dropping again, just like he was name dropping in the previous episodes. Like, or not him, but like Sauron was name dropping as Anatar, right? When he was trying to convince Celebrimbor. You have Elrond, who was name dropping heroes. Okay? You have the beauty of your foremother of the Valar. Like, so boy is obviously an elf. It's obviously Celeborn. Like, at this point, I don't even know what to do with these people because it's frustrating to the point that if Adar is not Celeborn, then this show is going to make even less sense and is going to follow the lore even less. But outside of that, if he is Celeborn, which they are strongly hinting at in this episode again, especially the way that he talks to Elrond, what he's been saying to Elrond, that means that Celeborn in their story created the orcs and slaughtered hundreds of elves. And he is supposed to go and rule over Lothlorien. He's supposed to be the Lord of Lothlorien and rule over the elves. Like, bruh. He's also supposed to go with Elrond and be there for the founding of Rivendell. And help build back up strength after what happened at Eregion. This is wild. Again, even if you take out the Tolkien lore, this show doesn't make any sense. It doesn't track with itself. It doesn't reference itself at all. It undermines itself at every turn. I just don't even know, oh god, don't get me started on Dur in this episode. It's not good. It's not good at all. The peace-loving orcs, guys. Oh, and then the horse gets a kick in, and everybody's like, yay, horsey. Okay? You don't ride cavalry into trees. There's a reason cavalry is out on a field. You would never do this. Who the hell was in charge of any type of military tactic expert knowledge? Like, who is their subject matter expert on this? Why the frick is the cavalry riding into the forest? Your cavalry is not effective in the forest. It is incredibly, oh my god. Like, this is how you wipe out cavalry. It's incredibly dangerous. You can set up booby traps, you can set up ambushes. They get the advantage of being up in the trees, and they can come down on top of the cavalrymen. So, why are you riding into the trees? There's no they're clearing out the camp. That's what you have foot soldiers for. This is exactly why you have ground infantry. This right here, to clear out areas where your cavalry is not going to be effective and is vulnerable. I don't even, and then he just rides through completely fine, and then he gets out here and they get him off his horse. He's dead, by the way. Look at him. He's laying on the ground. This man is dead. The whole point, look, they run their horses into the mud. It's insane to me. I bet that's actually where the accidents happened with the horses. So now Elrond has been unseated from his saddle. That is a death. That's what I was saying before. That is a death sentence for cavalry. You lose advantage and power. The whole idea is to get the cavalrymen off their horses. That is your whole goal, so you can get them to a level where you can take them down. He's laying on the ground. He is laying on the ground. Also, for some reason, he is wearing gray sweatpants. I don't know. This show confuses me. Oh, also, at this point, it's not a nitpick. This is just, look, he stabs him in the gut. The dude's already dead, but he stabs him in the gut for good measure. And then he sits there with his blade in the orc's gut for like 7 seconds. In battle, 7 seconds that's a lifetime. He should be dead. You get a half a second of a reprieve on a battlefield if you're lucky. If you are lucky. Holy cow. So he looks up. His horse's throat is now being slit. Okay? This enrages him. Yep, peace-loving orcs, guys. Peace-loving orcs. This enrages Elrond. Okay, he gets up. Elrond's like, "Roar!" All of these other orcs are around him. He should be dead. He should be dead. Atreyu! Okay? So now he's like, die. So now Elrond is acting out of wrath, out of rage, out of anger for his horse. Okay? Now he just told him to die. Going for spectacle, that makes no sense. Why would you... He could have killed his own men that are protecting the wall at Eregion with that move. But he did it anyway. Then he walks over to his horse, sees that it is in pain, that it's bleeding, literally touches it. All he had to do was put on Nenya, and he could have healed his horse. You know, the horse that he just went berserk mode for 5 seconds ago? Oh. And then he's like, oh, I'm sorry. And then he gets up and he walks away. And now we're back up on the ramparts. This isn't supposed to remind you of anything at all. Definitely not Helm's Deep. Or Pelennor Fields or Gondor. Not at all. And yeah, now we're back to just the worst siege in the history of sieges. And this is the orc that is starting to turn against Adar, because Adar is like, you know, they're like, Father, what do we do? Like, the elves are doing better than we possibly imagined, and so many of us are dead. They've wiped out 5 of our ranks or legions or whatever it was he said. And then he was like, and then Adar is like, yeah, better for you to be dead than living in peace, awaiting Sauron to enslave you. Like, I would rather you. I love you so much. I do not want you to be enslaved by Sauron. So I'm gonna let thousands of you die in this battle for me to get my revenge on Sauron, because we will not be at peace until he is gone. That's the whole line that he's been pushing, and this orc is now gonna, I'm sure, lead the coup that turns against Adar. But I mean, it is what it is. These people's incompetence not only makes for a terrible show, it's straight up getting actual horses killed. Stupidity is as destructive as malice. Yes. So those of you that didn't know, for anyone that didn't know, horses died on set. And if I had to guess, if it wasn't when they made them do that insane cavalry charge and then stop short suddenly, I would guess it is right around here where we saw the horses in the mud. Right in here. Like, this is so wildly dangerous. Right here. I'm willing to bet this is where the horses died. If I had to pick, of everything that we've seen, it's either when they were in that close quarter shit show of a formation, or it was right here. Horses and mud don't mix. Horses and mud do not mix. That's why it was very dangerous after the rain, because you couldn't do cavalry, and foot soldiers would slip. Okay, rain is not your friend in battle unless you have the high ground. Okay, unless you know how to tactically use it to your advantage, rain is very, 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 very dangerous. Even the best tacticians, rain will undo them. And it's insane. No military officer, be it enlisted, warrant, or commissioned, nor even a general officer in the right state of mind would ever send cavalry on horseback in a forest. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, why there is cavalry in a forest, I have no idea. I don't. I cannot for the life of me figure out who was supposedly helping with this epic battle scene that they said was a movie. Like, we were filming a movie, we weren't filming a show. Regardless, you're wrong on so many counts. Amazon Studios revealed in their subsequent statement that the horse suffered from a fatal cardiac arrest during filming from production whilst they were being exercised prior to the rehearsal. Yeah, here's the thing. Do you know how hard you have to run a horse? Do you know the amount of neglect that has to happen for a horse to die from cardiac arrest? That's what I'm saying. I think this is what caused it. And then they ran them the next day, and they literally ran them into the ground and killed them. I think it was this scene. I really truly do. Like, this is dangerous. Like, I know I have if you guys have ever noticed when it really starts to like pour out, most like ranchers, anybody that like works on land or whatever, they'll take out ATVs. They won't take out their horses. And it's not because horses can't be in rain, it's that when it rains too much, you end up in situations like this, and it is far easier, far less expensive, and far less devastating to your soul if an ATV gets stuck in the mud and, you know, maybe you have to scrap it or whatever, than having your horse go down in the mud. Because then if they break a leg, the rehab, the time that it takes, I mean, it's insane to me. But if I had to guess, I think it was this scene that killed those horses. That's what I genuinely think. Absolutely 100%. I think it was this scene that killed them. And that is from one, basic common sense, two, how stuff works, and three, because the level of neglect that you would have to send a horse into cardiac arrest, the whole production should have been shut down. Like, if it really was cardiac arrest, the whole production should have been shut down. Because that means something is very, very wrong on set with everything. Yeah, there was something like, you're talking about Pelennor Fields, right? I think it was like 500 or 1,000 horses. Yeah. 0 horses were injured, 0 horses died. And there were like 70 horses in this episode, if I had to guess, if I had to wager. Just all of it. I don't even... It's just insane. The only thing that I can come up with is the only reason that they would say that it was cardiac arrest. No, because there should have been... I was going to say it's so that they could keep animal rights activists away, but even that, I mean, I really do think it was this scene, guys. I don't think Amazon cared. I don't think the people that were in charge of caring for the horses or like were in charge of it. I don't know. It's wild to me to think that a company whose whole purpose, because they made such, like, Amazon bragged so much about how they had gotten the best, like the horses were well trained, this was the best company, they were doing all of the right things, and then for that horse to die of cardiac arrest, it just screams suspicious. This whole thing just reeks of ill intent and lies and deception. I really do think this is the scene. Watch how much these horses are actually struggling. Okay, so yeah, look, those are horses, those are actual horses in water. Like, okay, Elrond gets knocked down. Look at that. Like, this one, he falls. Like, I think it was this. I really do think it was this scene. Look at. That horse is stressed out. That horse is incredibly stressed out. That's how horses break legs. Like, this right here. God, that pisses me off. Look at, this is how horses break legs. His leg is definitely crushed. Look at this. He went down on his, like, and the horse turned because it's the way that he's being yanked. This is dangerous. This is incredibly dangerous. I genuinely think this is, holy crap! Raider comes in and drops 20 memberships. Thank you so much, Raider. Holy cow. I greatly appreciate it. Thank you so much. Much love, much respect. Thank you, thank you. Very, very much. But this is, like, this horse is, this is stress. This is panic. This is not okay. I think it was this horse. And then if you look at this horse trying to get out of the mud, it's, God dang it. Sorry, you're gonna have to watch Elrond die again. I can't believe how short this scene is. Probably because they were trying to, like, edit out all of the issues, but you can't hide that. Like, that horse is this is not okay. And this horse, if you look, it's trying to get out. But it can't. It can't. Like, there, it's up and it's like trying to get itself out, but then watch right before the scene changes, it falls back in. It fell back in. Did you guys see that? It fell back in right there. It fell back down in. It can't get out. It can't get out, and this horse is panicking. Like, it is, you can see on the screen, this horse is panicking. If I am not kidding. I think this is the scene where this horse died. I think this is what caused this horse to die. I think it stressed the horse out, and I think this is what killed it. I think this is where it happened. Genuinely, 100%. I mean, cardiac arrest in a horse, guys. Like, there's a reason the terms are called like workhorse, and we use horsepower. Like, do you know what it takes to kill a horse with cardiac arrest? Do you know how overworked that horse has to be? Like, I am telling you right now, this horse they didn't just exercise it and then and then it went into cardiac arrest. I am telling you, it was this. It had to have been. This is wild. I mean, it's right here. Like, and then I'm sure haters are going to be like, oh my gosh, when did you become an equestrian expert? What do you know? Are you a vet? Are you a veterinarian? Are you a horse breeder? Do you have a horse ranch? Like, do you know anything? Where's your expertise? Here's the thing. Common sense can do a lot, but I have also spent time around horses. Not as much as I would have liked to, but I have spent time around them. And I'm telling you, they are resilient sons of bitches. They are not going to just fall over one day of cardiac arrest. That doesn't just happen. Yeah, Jeremiah, exactly. You do not see scenes like this with horses for a reason. There's a reason that they don't make scenes like this. If you guys have ever watched The Neverending Story and he's like, Artek, please. Like, that whole scene, there's a reason that they cut to black. There's a reason that they cut to black. Okay? It's because they had to get the horse out of the mud and everything like that. They had to get the horse out. And then that way there was less stress on the horse. I think my mic just cut out again. I heard it go silent that time. But there is a reason why they don't do these things, and there's a reason that horse scenes and like Hollywood animals have to be incredibly well trained and taken care of. There are special things you need on set for them. But here's the thing. You do not have to be an equestrian. You don't have to be a rancher, a farmer, a vet to understand that this is a bad situation. This is a very bad situation for any creature to be in. And I think that they cut this footage as much as they could, but it's out here now. And I am telling you, this is not safe. This is at the very least, this is endangerment by Amazon for both the actor and the horse. Like, it's just wild to me that is blatantly out there. Now, we're going to talk about one other thing. Remember how they made a volcano by pouring water into a well-ventilated shaft and it went boom? They dammed up a river by and King Doran is going insane. And they're like, we're with you. And he's like, come save me, old friend. This is where they have the Oppression Olympics. And he's like, I'm about to overthrow my father. No. And he's like, will you fight with us? And then, here we go. And so, Anatar is like, Celebrimbor said that the river will protect us. And of course, that's Anatar saying it. And then he realizes that it's not going to work because the orcs are now aiming their... oh, they've already done it. Hold on, now I gotta go find it. Where is it? I don't know where it is. This show sucks. Where's it at? Durin's lost his mind. Okay. Celebrimbor. That's the first time he sees the mouse and he realizes he's in a loop. And that's why he makes the mark on the candle so that he knows he's not crazy. Here we go. Here is how they make... That's him seeing the river being dammed up. They're like, prepare for ground assault. So, the orcs make a dam, and it makes about as much sense as the way that they gave Mount Doom an origin story. I want you guys to watch this. Mountains don't work like avalanches. Mountains don't work like avalanches, but they've turned their catapults towards the mountains, and now they're shooting the rock. It's the little rock that could, and Adar is so proud of himself. Okay, and then they're flinging more. This isn't how mountains work. It's not an avalanche, guys. But yeah, so those tiny little catapults, after just 6 shots to the massive mountain, makes the rest of the mountain crack and crumble, and it dams up the river. Not only would that wave be so massive that it would wipe out everything on the ground, which means the orcs, it would not dam up the river for very long. Look at how massive that river is. Look at how massive that river is. And look at the amount of rock that fell in there. That thing's not staying dammed up for long. 6 little rocks made a whole mountain crumble. Just 6 tiny little rocks from catapults. A mountain is not an avalanche. This is not Mulan, where you can shoot a rocket with a little dragon on top of it, have it land on the top, and then have an entire avalanche cascade and wipe out the Huns for you. This is as stupid, illogical, and impossible as how they said Mount Doom was created. Because, yes, when water rushes in and there's nowhere for the steam to escape, that's how you get those types of explosions. However, when you go back to season 1, you can see there's plenty of ventilation. There's plenty of areas for the steam to escape. It should never have erupted, let alone continued to erupt from then on. Like, this is just wild. So this wave should be huge. But look, the water stays in the riverbed. The wave stays in the riverbed. So I'm supposed to believe that now this mountain has created a dam big enough to block the raging water on the other side, but didn't create a large enough wave that it's going to wipe out. Look at, these are orcs standing right here next to this. It's fantasy. Get over it. Nah, bro. Nah. That's not how mountains work. That's not how physics work. That's not how any of this works at all. This is retarded. Next level retarded. And then not Legolas runs up and it takes the river all of like 30 seconds to go completely dry. Look at that. That river is supposed to be insanely deep. These walls are supposed to be like 100. Like this is supposed to be a very tall wall. And that riverbed, like that river is gone. It's gone. Now look. So you guys saw how little rock there was before, right? Now all of a sudden half the mountain has fallen in. Now half the mountain has fallen in. Here it is now. And that's what fell in. You guys see the difference, right? Like, I'm not crazy. Here's what fell in. You guys can see this, right? Here's what fell in. And now, like, it's all the way back here has fallen down in. Half the mountain fell into the river now. Aha. Also, Vajont Dam disaster in Italy was a landslide tsunami. Splash of water over the dam was almost 1,000 feet tall. That's what I'm saying. Like, you can't have it both ways. You can't have half a mountain collapse into a river and then expect the water to stay in the riverbed. Just a tiny little wave, and then the water just stays in the riverbed. That isn't how any of this works. So the writers claim a temporary dam stops all water, including water from the river flowing into the dam. Yep, absolutely. That is 100%. That's 100% what they're claiming. Inflation is affecting avalanches too. Yep, pretty much. It's an inflation lanch. Like that rock slide. That's not how rock slides work, guys. It's. Oh my gosh. And you really think, like, look at, they've built into this mountain behind Eregion, right? Do you really think that they at any point would have left a mountain? If a mountain was that close to crumbling, you don't think the literal forge of, like, the heart of the forge of the elves with the greatest master smiths aren't gonna know? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It's the plot demanded that it happen because there was no way that they were going to be able. There's no way that the siege of Eregion could happen. The orcs were going to lose, so they had to. It happened because the plot demanded that it must happen. I don't know who was in charge of military tactics or of presenting anything that would be a viable consideration for a tactical decision like blocking, like damming up the river. First of all, you wouldn't do this in front of, you wouldn't do it right here. You would dam it way further up the river where there is more of a bottleneck. You would dam it way further up. And you wouldn't wait till a day after you started the siege. So remember, or a day, a week. I have no idea how long I have no idea how long the siege has been going on. It could have been weeks because remember, now in this time, Celebrimbor has managed to forge the 9. So that's weeks. So apparently, Eregion has been under siege for weeks. And now they just decide to turn their catapults to the mountain, hit it with a couple of rocks, and then let it fall into the river. Do you know how good your aim would have to be on a trebuchet to pull something like that off? First of all, not only to create a rock slide, but for it to go the direction you need and want it to go. Do you have any idea the absolute lethal accuracy you would need to have with a trebuchet that they clearly don't have, because look at what is still standing. All of these towers in Aragion are still standing. And if these trebuchets can hit the top of that mountain, there's no reason that any of this should still be standing. I don't understand. That's what I'm saying. The scale of this show is completely off. Nothing makes sense. There are no stakes. Everybody is just, it is literally, it doesn't matter what happened last episode. It must happen in this episode for next thing to happen in this episode so we can get to next episode. My head hurts. At this rate, I'm just waiting for the Balrog to call out of Khazad-dûm and, like, use its fire whip to destroy everything. Like, that's where I'm at. That's probably what, like, why not? Who cares at this point? Like, why not siege it with dragons? That would be fun. Maybe CGI is too expensive. Bruh, at this point, sure. Why not? And then, storytelling as per Parker and so, yeah, and then, how much longer is this episode? Oh, bro, I'm just ripping it into pieces. It's done. This episode is an hour and 12 minutes. But so much is wrong with it that it just could not be left to bear. Outside of the disgusting kiss, this whole episode is an absolute freaking tragedy of writing, of acting, of lack of military tactics, and of any kind of common sense. I don't know how they're able to hit the top of the mountain so accurately that it causes a dam to slide into the river without damaging anything else. And they can't take out a couple of towers. I am sick to my stomach. Oh, look, it's the peace-loving orcs. Bro, he is in, those are gym shorts. Those are gray shorts. What is with the gray shorts and gray sweatpants? So much. Everything hurts. And look, he's just sitting down like an impotent little toddler. And he's like, look, the candle has not burned at all an inch in an hour. And then Anatar, Celeborn, my God, I really need to go to bed. Anatar, Sauron, Halbrand, dude, is like, you wanted peace, and I gave it to you. And now, so Celebrimbor, right, he throws Feanor's hammer out the window. Look it. He throws it out the window. The frick? Throws that out the window, and that's when he hears the sieges. And that's when Anatar drops his illusion, and now he's walking out, and he's looking down, and he sees everything that's been happening. For at this point, it has to be weeks, because he completed the 9, or he got very close to completing the 9, and he's still not done. So weeks must have passed. Now you're telling me that they are sending incendiary projectiles over these walls. They have dammed up the river. See, look, half the mountain is in the river. And you're telling me there's still towers standing when their catapults, their trebuchets were strong enough to hit the top of that mountain? It doesn't make any sense. Oh, Solve for X is absolutely correct. How could I have been so cruel? It's a small independent studio on a budget. I need to be more understanding. You're right. You're right. Solve for X, absolutely. My God, everybody in this show every character is fueled by wrath, revenge, and rage. They are illiterate, irresponsible, reckless, with no wisdom to speak of, no battle tactics to speak of. Amazon literally was trying to go for like epic sweeping shots and like, oh my gosh, look at this isn't this a gorgeous sea? Like, look at this, isn't this insane? Like they were going, this is the definition of shallow. This whole thing is a shallow, like it's not even, they don't understand Tolkien. So they are taking things that they hope invoke emotion so that you can overlook how bad the show is and how destructive it is to the legendarium and how disrespectful it is to the lore and the fans and to the professor. Because they want they want these established shots that, oh, look at the devastation, like, don't you just feel a certain way? Look at this troll coming down, he's crushing things as he's stamping on them, he's using them as shields. Oh my god, the troll got way too much screen time. Oh, look, the dawn is breaking and we have the one lone rider up on the hill. We have the one lone rider coming. Like, oh, like it's so beautiful and then it's so devastating. All that hope that's supposed to come with the sunrise absolutely crushed by, by the betrayal of the elves. It is hollow, it is shallow, and it does not understand being able to create something that is more important than itself, something greater than itself. These people don't know how to write anything that is not self-centered. I don't even know what to do at this point. Like, it is, I would say we've reached the Rubicon, but I've said that before, and somehow they managed to just keep going. They just continue to belittle and degrade and slaughter and gut everything. There is no heroism. There is no heroism. There is no overcoming. There is no resilience. There's no valor. They are literally attempting to blackpill Lord of the Rings. That's what they're trying to do. They are subverting a man's life's work. They think they know better. They are attempting to insert their own messaging and their own lack of storytelling. Galadriel has to be the key to everything. She's now running around with the 9 rings. Adar has Nenya. Elrond laid down for a little nap. It's just wild to me how hopeless this series is. They are. So the showrunner said that season 2 was going to be all about the villains, but this hasn't been, like, season 1 was all about the villains as well, because everybody is a villain. Because if there is no morality, if there is no objective good, then there is no objective evil. And if there is no objective evil, then everybody is just shades of gray. And then you get people who are shipping Sauron with Galadriel. You get people who are shipping Elrond with Galadriel. Now you have people who are like, oh my gosh, like, let's do a love quadrangle or whatever, because now Adar is going to get in on that as well. And the fact that they are that their goal or their objective is not to tell an incredible story. It's not to honor the late professor's incredible works, and it isn't to provide as close to accurate as possible of an adaptation, but it is to maim, destroy, and subvert the professor's works for a modern audience that doesn't exist. It's disgusting. This whole episode is, it needs to be burned. It needs to be razed to the ground. because at this point, there is no way to come back from this. It doesn't matter if Celeborn shows up. It doesn't even matter if Adar isn't Celeborn and he, comes riding in or whatever. The damage is done. This is a soap opera for shippers who are miserable why-nots that chose not to have children. I'm not saying, because I know there are women out there who, want children but were unable to have them, or maybe, they never found their husbands or whatever, and they weren't raging whores. I know those women exist too. But I'm saying the women who chose to not have children because they didn't want to be held down by a tiny little parasite. They wanted to go have fun. And now they're in their late 30s, 40s, 50s, and, they're miserable. And now they're trying to live vicariously through these shows, and they don't care what they have to destroy and infest and infect to get there, as long as they get what they want. And as long as they can stick it to the man. I'm just like, somebody's got to do something. Bro, maybe I should start a studio. Hey, Elon. I can't promise that you're going to make billions of dollars, but I can promise it won't be woke, black-pilled, despair-filled BS. I can give you that. I can promise you that. Hoy vey. But, well, guys, I do try to keep these short. I'm sorry that I couldn't. This has been a 2-hour and 40-minute stream. So I appreciate you guys so much for being here. Raider, again, coming in like a champ, like the Chad that he is, and just drops 20 gifted memberships. Thank you so much, sir. I appreciate it. I really, truly do. You guys, chat, you remain undefeated. You're awesome. Love you guys to pieces. Thank you for, coming tonight. Thank you for hanging out, talking about this disaster of a show. Nostalgic Nirvana definitely needs to make a comeback. Because there's got to be some kind of counter to this insanity for sure. So I will definitely try to make sure that on Thursdays I do a Nostalgic Nirvana stream from here on, and we just have fun. And we talk about the things that are good and that we love and that are respectful and inspiring and transcend that the base and the shallowness and really hit what it means to have a soul and be human. I really do thank you all from the bottom of my heart. It really does mean a lot. I love each and every one of you. I hope that you all have a great night, day, wherever you might be. And as always, God bless, Godspeed, much love, and I will talk to you all later. Bye.
Bum 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 bum. Wait, I can do that better. What if it's like